Chosen one, there are moments in history that appear once and never repeat. They arrive like lightning, piercing the sky with brilliance, and then vanish into the distance, leaving only the memory of their glow. You are standing at the threshold of one of those moments now. What approaches you is not ordinary, it is extraordinary. It is rare, fleeting, and it will not come back again. If you allow it to pass, it will pass forever. That is why the weight in your chest feels so heavy, why your spirit is restless, why the urgency cannot be ignored. This is the kind of moment that defines destinies, and to miss it would be to surrender what was meant to lift you higher. Stay with me through this message until the very end, because clarity often unfolds gradually. There is a reason this has found you now. If you carry an open heart, the words ahead will strengthen your courage, and when you finish, release your own energy by writing your warmest wishes and the number 777 in the comments. This act is not empty. It is an agreement with the universe, a declaration that you are awake, aware, and ready to seize what is being given. It becomes a channel through which your intentions flow outward, multiplying and returning with greater force. The truth is this: what is coming toward you is unlike anything you have seen before. It is not another cycle that will circle back if you miss it. It is not a door that will remain open indefinitely. It is a window carved into time itself, and once it closes, it will never open in the same way again. That is why the signals around you feel sharper, why coincidences seem too precise to ignore, why your inner voice has been louder than usual. These are not random, they are preparations. The universe is setting the stage, arranging circumstances, pulling threads together so that you recognize the significance of this hour. Think back to your life and how often you assumed that opportunities would return. You told yourself, I'll try again next time, I'll wait for a better season, or it will come back when I'm ready. And sometimes they did return, but they never returned the same. The timing was different, the people involved had changed, the circumstances no longer aligned. That is the truth most people miss. Even when chances repeat, they are never identical. The energy shifts, the impact lessens, and what could have been extraordinary becomes ordinary. But what stands in front of you now is not one of those lesser chances. It is a rare alignment that cannot be duplicated. The weight of this truth is both terrifying and freeing. Terrifying because it forces you to confront the reality that if you do nothing, it will be gone. Freeing because it reminds you that you are alive in this very moment, positioned to grasp it before it fades. The responsibility is real, but so is the potential. You are not being asked to be perfect, you are being asked to be present, to open your eyes, to see clearly, and to step forward before hesitation locks you in regret. This is why fear often rises so strongly right before alignment arrives. Fear senses what is at stake and tries to paralyze you. It whispers that you are not ready, not worthy, not capable of carrying what is coming, but fear lies. The very fact that this rare moment has reached you is proof that you are ready enough. Destiny does not waste itself on those who cannot handle it. It does not knock on doors that will not open. The knock is proof of your strength, not a question of it. What is coming will stretch you, yes, but it will also transform you. It is the kind of opportunity that shifts not only your external world, but your internal self. You will see differently, think differently, move differently. Your relationships, your choices, your path. All of it will evolve because of what you chose to seize instead of ignore. That is why it feels overwhelming. It is not small, and it is not supposed to be. But here lies the warning. If you let this pass, if you dismiss the signal, if you convince yourself there will be another chance just like it, you will find yourself haunted by the silence that follows. That silence will not destroy you outright, but it will echo, reminding you of what slipped through your fingers. It will visit you in quiet moments, not to torment you, but to remind you that hesitation costs more than you can afford. And by then, the door will have closed and the moment will belong to history. So do not mistake this urgency as mere pressure. It is mercy. It is clarity, disguised as weight. It is the universe ensuring that you cannot mistake this moment for something ordinary. It is shaking you awake so that you cannot sleepwalk through the one chance that will never return again. The choice is in your hands, and the echo of it will define everything that follows. There is something haunting about the idea that certain doors, once closed, never open again. You can stand in front of them for years, replaying what you could have done, what you could have said, how you could have stepped differently. But no matter how much you wish, they remain sealed, not out of cruelty, but because they were designed for a specific moment in time. When that moment is gone, the door ceases to exist. That is the truth you must confront now. What is approaching you is a door that will not wait, will not linger, and will not return once it has passed. This is why hesitation is so dangerous. It disguises itself as caution, as wisdom, as patience, but real wisdom knows the difference between waiting for alignment and ignoring alignment when it finally arrives. If you let hesitation win, you do not buy yourself more time. You lose the very chance you thought you were protecting. The moment dissolves and you are left with the hollow weight of knowing you traded destiny for delay. And delay always charges interest. The longer you wait, the more it costs until the price becomes unbearable. People often say, if it is meant for me, it will come back. But that is only half true. Some things return, but never the same way. The alignment shifts, the energy changes, the timing no longer carries the same power. The version that returns may not carry the depth, the clarity, or the opportunity that was originally designed for you. It will not be as sharp, as impactful, as transformative. And sometimes it does not return at all. Believing that it will always come back is the most dangerous lie hesitation whispers, because it lulls you into complacency while life quietly passes you by. Think about the moments in your past where you knew deep down that you were supposed to act. Maybe it was a conversation you avoided, a risk you postponed, a decision you delayed. At the time it felt safer to wait, but later when the window closed, you realized how much it cost you. You cannot reclaim those exact opportunities. They are frozen in time, gone forever. You can learn, you can grow, you can create new opportunities, yes, but those particular ones will never return. That realization is painful because it proves how costly ignoring can be. The danger is not only in what you lose externally, it is also in what happens within. Every ignored moment weakens your trust in yourself. You begin to question your ability to act, to decide, to move forward. Doubt grows louder, courage grows quieter, and soon hesitation becomes your default. This is how people drift into lives they never wanted, not because they made one catastrophic mistake, but because they ignored too many signals, too many opportunities, too many calls to rise. Slowly, almost silently, they surrendered to hesitation until it defined them. But you are not powerless here. Awareness itself is power. The fact that you can feel this urgency, the fact that you know this moment is different, the fact that these words resonate within you, this is proof that the door is still open. The warning is not punishment, it is protection. It is here to ensure that you do not repeat the cycle again, that you do not let hesitation strip away what you have prayed for, that you do not pay the price of another missed opportunity. This moment carries a kind of weight you cannot ignore because it is not ordinary. You can sense it in the way everything around you feels sharper, more alive, more pressing. You notice the synchronicities lining up, the inner voice growing louder, the sense that time itself is leaning in. That is not imagination, it is alignment. Life is placing you at the threshold of something rare, something powerful, something that will never come back once it passes. So what will you do with it? Will you step forward, even trembling, even unsure, even afraid? Or will you hold back, convincing yourself you will be braver later, stronger tomorrow, more ready another day? That illusion is the trap. It tells you that later will save you, but the later does not exist. There is only now. And what you do with now decides whether this becomes the foundation of transformation or the echo of regret. The silence that follows a missed opportunity is unbearable because it cannot be undone. You can move on, you can grow from it, but you cannot relive it. That is why the urgency presses on you so fiercely. It is your spirit refusing to let you sleepwalk through this hour. It is the universe shouting that this is not just another moment, it is the moment, and once it is gone forever. The choice lies before you with brutal clarity. If you hesitate, you will lose it. If you ignore it, you will regret it. But if you act, if you listen, if you honor what you feel, you will unlock doors that may never appear again. This is the defining truth of rare opportunities. They demand action. They do not reward delay. They do not tolerate excuses. They do not return for another round. They appear once, and then they vanish. The only question is whether you will recognize their value before they disappear. There is a haunting truth about opportunities that never return. Once they slip through your hands, they become memories, not possibilities. And memories, no matter how vivid, cannot be relived. You can replay them in your mind 1,000 times, imagine yourself making different choices, but the outcome will always be the same. The past remains untouched. This is why such moments carry so much weight. They demand everything of you in the present because they know they cannot be repeated in the future. The danger lies in how deceptively ordinary they can appear at first. You may not even realize their magnitude until later when hindsight sharpens your vision. That is the cruelest part of hesitation. It blinds you in the moment, convincing you that what stands before you is small, insignificant, or replaceable. Only after it has passed do you realize it was monumental. Only after the silence sets in do you recognize that you stood face to face with destiny and walked away. But awareness is rising in you now. You can feel it in the way your spirit refuses to rest, in the way your thoughts circle back to the same urgency, in the way you know, without needing proof, that this is different. That is the gift of alignment. It stirs you awake before the moment fades, giving you one last chance to grasp it. That stirring is not anxiety. It is clarity pressing against the walls of your hesitation. It is your destiny demanding that you recognize what stands in front of you. Regret is the shadow of ignored moments. It attaches itself not immediately, but gradually, creeping into your quietest hours. It shows up when you watch someone else step into the place that could have been yours, when you see doors open for others that once stood before you, when you realize the season you delayed for has ended and will not return. The pain of regret is sharper than the pain of failure because failure still carries lessons, still pushes you forward, still builds resilience. Regret does none of that. It only paralyzes, leaving you haunted by what you could have had but chose not to reach for. That is why the moment in front of you is sacred. It carries both risk and reward, but above all, it carries finality. It is not meant to linger. It is meant to be seized. If you hesitate, it will vanish. If you act, it will transform you. The choice is brutally simple, but the weight of it is immense. That is the paradox of rare opportunities. They look fragile, but hold the power to reshape your entire life. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of one decision. A single step taken in courage can set off a chain reaction that alters everything. One yes to the right moment can open doors you never imagined, align paths you never saw, release strength you did not know you had. That is the magic hidden in moments that never return. They do not only carry a single blessing, they carry seeds that multiply into harvests you cannot yet see. But those seeds cannot be planted if you do nothing. Doing nothing leaves the ground barren, and barren ground yields only regret. This is why fear fights hardest right now. It senses the magnitude of what is approaching, and it knows that if you step, it loses its hold. Fear is not trying to protect you, it is trying to chain you. It will flood your mind with excuses, with reminders of past failures, with doubts about your worth. But if you look closely, you will see that fear always grows loudest just before breakthrough. That is because it knows it cannot survive the moment you move. Once you act, fear's grip dissolves, and what once seemed impossible becomes the foundation of your strength. The clock of this moment is already ticking. You can feel it in the urgency pressing on your spirit, in the awareness that hesitation will cost more now than it ever did before. The silence that follows will not wait. It will settle in quickly, and with it, the opportunity will vanish. You cannot afford to believe that another moment just like this will come, because it won't. It may be replaced by others, yes, but not this one, not in this form, not with this alignment. That is what makes it sacred. That is why you cannot ignore it. And so the question remains, will you step forward into the unknown, or will you cling to the illusion of safety and let the moment fade? One path will terrify you but transform you, the other will comfort you but haunt you. The choice is not between fear and peace, it is between fear now or regret forever. And only you can decide which price you are willing to pay. The truth is clear, what is coming will never return again. The weight of this reality is pressing against you, demanding a response. To ignore it is to walk willingly into emptiness. To embrace it is to rise into everything you were meant to be. The door stands open now, but it will not stay open long. What you choose in this moment will define not only your future, but also the way you remember yourself for the rest of your life. There is a dangerous comfort in believing that life will always give you another chance. People repeat this idea because it soothes them, because it makes waiting easier, because it lets them feel safe in hesitation. But comfort is a liar. Time does not bend itself to our convenience, and destiny does not reschedule itself because of our fear. What is aligned for this moment is designed for this moment only. To believe otherwise is to gamble with your own future, and the stakes are higher than most people are willing to admit. The illusion of endless chances is what keeps people stuck in cycles. They delay telling themselves they will be braver tomorrow. They ignore the signal, convinced it will knock again when they are ready. But tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year, and eventually the signal fades into silence. What was once urgent becomes distant. What was once alive becomes a memory. And they wake up years later wondering how their lives became so small, so repetitive, so unfulfilled. The answer is simple. They ignored the moment that would never return. This is the subtle cruelty of hesitation. It convinces you that inaction is harmless. But inaction is not neutral. It is destructive. Every time you hesitate, you train your spirit to distrust itself. You dull your instincts, weaken your courage, and give fear a stronger grip on your decisions. Slowly, your confidence erodes, and you become dependent on outside voices to guide you, even when your own spirit has been speaking the truth all along. Ignoring the signal does not freeze your life where it is, it unravels it thread by thread. But if hesitation corrodes, action rebuilds. The moment you decide to act, even trembling, something shifts. Energy that was stagnant begins to move. Doors that seemed sealed begin to loosen. Strength you thought you lost rises to meet you. That is the mystery of courage. It does not arrive before the step, it meets you in the step. This is why rare opportunities feel terrifying, because they demand that you trust the unseen, that you leap before certainty, that you step without knowing the full path. And yet it is only through stepping that the path reveals itself. Think of the countless people who have lived their entire lives in the shadow of what might have been. They are haunted not by the risks they took, but by the risks they avoided. Their regrets are not about failures, they are about silence. They replay the moments they dismissed, the chances they walked past, the signals they ignored. And each memory stings, not because they failed, but because they never tried. That is the fate waiting for those who dismiss what is in front of them now. That is the price of ignoring a moment that will never return. The urgency you feel in your chest is not random, it is not ordinary anxiety. It is alignment pressing on you, insisting that you do not dismiss this as just a passing opportunity. You can sense the difference. This is not small. It has weight, texture, energy. It feels alive, and that aliveness is proof of its significance. When life gives you a chance that will never return, it does not whisper softly. It shakes you awake, and that shaking is what you feel now. The danger is believing that ignoring it will leave you unchanged. It won't. If you ignore this moment, something inside you will fracture. You will carry the knowledge that you stood at the threshold of transformation and turned away. That fracture will not heal easily. It will follow you, whispering at the edges of your silence. It will remind you that you had the chance and refused it. That is the deepest wound hesitation leaves, not just the loss of opportunity, but the loss of trust in yourself. Yet the opposite is also true. If you act now, if you honor what you feel, if you step even though your legs shake and your voice trembles, you will rewrite the story. You will replace hesitation with courage, doubt with clarity, fear with momentum. And once you do, the very energy that seemed to oppose you will begin to align with you. Opportunities will multiply, strength will rise, clarity will sharpen. The ripple effect of one decisive step will extend far beyond this single moment. You cannot control time, you cannot make it pause, cannot rewind it, cannot stretch it to suit your preference. All you can do is meet it as it comes, honor it when it matters, and seize it when it presents itself. This is one of those times. What is coming toward you will not return again. It is a singular alignment, a once-in-a-lifetime convergence, and it has been placed in your path deliberately. The only question left is whether you will rise to meet it or let it pass into history without you. The silence after this moment will tell the story. It will either carry the peace of knowing you acted or the ache of knowing you ignored. There is no middle ground. That is why the urgency feels so heavy, why the choice feels so sharp. It is not meant to destroy you, it is meant to define you. And what defines you will be remembered long after this moment has passed. There is a peculiar silence that follows a missed moment, a silence that speaks louder than words. It does not rage or accuse, but it lingers, heavy and undeniable, reminding you of what could have been. That silence is not something you want to live with again. It is a burden that grows heavier over time, pressing down in your spirit until you realize that the true weight of life is not carried by failure, but by hesitation. Failure at least teaches, at least moves, at least transforms. Hesitation does none of that. It leaves you empty-handed and hollow-hearted. Every opportunity carries a unique energy, a blend of timing, alignment, and readiness that cannot be replicated. Even if something similar appears again, it will never carry the same force. That is why this moment matters so deeply. It is not another cycle in a repeating loop. It is a one-time convergence of circumstances designed specifically for you. If you turn away now, you will not find this exact door again. The world will move forward, time will shift, and the alignment will dissolve. What you could have grasped will belong to history, not to your hands. It is important to recognize how deception operates in moments like this. Fear whispers that you have more time. Doubt tells you that waiting will make you stronger. Distraction convinces you that this is not as urgent as it feels. But these are lies designed to keep you chained to hesitation. The very intensity you feel in your chest right now, the urgency that refuses to let you rest, is proof that this is not ordinary. The louder the resistance, the greater the importance. Fear does not fight when nothing is at stake, it fights hardest when everything is. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your decision. One step may seem small, but it carries consequences far beyond what you can see. Acting now can set off a chain of alignment that reshapes your future, opening doors you never knew existed, connecting you with people who carry keys you never imagined, creating opportunities you thought were out of reach. But ignoring it will do the opposite. It will cut off connections, silence possibilities, and send you into a cycle of regret that no amount of wishing can undo. You must also understand that hesitation trains you just as much as action does. Every time you hesitate, you teach your spirit to delay. You reinforce the belief that you cannot trust yourself, that you cannot move without perfect clarity, that you must wait until everything feels safe. But life does not reward waiting, it rewards courage. The people who rise are not the ones who waited until they were fearless. They are the ones who acted while afraid, who stepped when it was inconvenient, who moved even when the outcome was uncertain. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite it. What is in front of you now is not a test you can retake, it is a final exam written only once, and the score will shape your future. This is not to scare you, it is to wake you, because nothing is more tragic than someone standing at the threshold of transformation and choosing to step away. That is why you feel such urgency, such weight, such clarity. It is destiny making itself undeniable, leaving you no excuse but to decide. The beauty hidden within this urgency is that it proves you are ready. You may not feel ready, you may still hear the doubts in your head, but readiness is not a feeling. It is a state of alignment. The fact that this moment has reached you means you already carry what you need to step through it. Destiny does not place you at doors you cannot open. It may stretch you, challenge you, even terrify you, but it will never break you. What waits on the other side is not destruction, it is transformation. Imagine for a moment that you say yes, that you move forward trembling but determined. The weight in your chest begins to lift. The silence that once threatened to haunt you is replaced with the sound of new possibilities opening. Doors appear where before there were only walls. Strength rises where before there was only fear. You realize, perhaps for the first time, that you were never waiting on the perfect time. The perfect time was always waiting on you. This is the miracle of decisive action. It turns the unknown into discovery, the uncertain into clarity, the impossible into reality. What once felt out of reach becomes tangible the moment you choose to honor it. That is the power of this moment. It is not simply an opportunity, it is an invitation to step into a future that will never exist unless you act. And so the choice remains, will you honor the urgency pressing on your spirit, or will you dismiss it, convincing yourself there will be another chance? One path leads to regret that grows heavier with time. The other leads to freedom that expands with every step you take. The weight of the decision may feel immense, but it is also liberating, because it is proof that you are the one with the power to decide. This is your hour of truth. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when everything feels comfortable. Now, what is coming will not return again. You can either let it vanish into the silence of history or seize it and carry it into your future. The decision is yours, and it will define the story you tell about yourself for years to come. There is no second version of this moment. What stands in front of you is unrepeatable, a once-in-a-lifetime alignment of time, energy, and opportunity. You can feel it in your body, the urgency that won't let you rest, the whisper in your mind that refuses to quiet down, the fire in your spirit that tells you something greater is here. This is not ordinary, and it never will be again. To ignore it would be to accept a silence that will follow you for years, a silence that reminds you of what could have been but never was. Every part of your journey has been leading here, the waiting, the lessons, the struggles, the seasons of doubt. They were all preparation. And now the door has opened, not to test you, but to invite you. The invitation is simple: step through or walk away. If you walk away, the door will not remain. It will close with finality, and no amount of wishing will bring it back. That is the truth about rare opportunities. They do not bend for hesitation. They honor courage, and courage alone. Hesitation will tell you to play safe, to stay where you are, to convince yourself another chance will come. But deep down, you already know the truth. Another chance may come, but it will not be this one. It will not carry this alignment, this timing, this power. This moment has its own signature, its own energy, its own destiny attached. If you let it pass, you let go of something you will never touch again. That is why it feels so heavy, because the universe is pressing on you to understand the finality of this hour. But do not let the weight crush you. Let it awaken you. Let it remind you that you are alive in this exact second, standing at the edge of transformation. The choice is in your hands, and with it, the chance to redefine your life. Step forward and you will feel the chains of hesitation dissolve. You will discover that courage was not waiting somewhere far ahead. It was It was waiting inside you all along, ready to rise the moment you decided.